Welcome to City Life. I'm Beverly Thompson. We've recently heard some exciting news from the Durham Police Department. First, the department is making a special effort to reach out to Durham's Hispanic and LGBTQ communities, and we'll talk more about that a little later. But now you'll want to pay special attention if you're considering a career as a police officer. Now just might be the time that you should take the next step and serve in Durham. Joining me to talk about new hiring incentives is Sergeant David English with the department's recruiting unit. Welcome to our show, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So, Sergeant, before we go into detail about the new incentives, let's talk about some of the challenges in recruiting people to choose a career in police enforcement, law enforcement.
So I've been with the recruiting unit for about a year, and when I first came to the unit, I started looking at our old recruiting statistics. And I was floored that we had lost, we'd had a significant dip in the number of applications and qualified applications that we'd had since 2014, a significant dip, about 33%. So then I started doing my research and found out that we're not the only department that's suffering. We're looking at nationwide applications and those pursuing a career in law enforcement, a very significant decline. Other than a few cities in North Carolina, everybody is facing the same problem. And there's lots of possible reasons. It could be that folks are pursuing higher education, different careers, or it could have been the lots of high-profile negative incidents that have focused on police here recently.
So with that in mind then, I mean, how do you attack the problem, and is it through incentives, actually?
Well, that's what we started looking at incentives, and we started comparing ourselves to some of the surrounding municipalities, and we saw that we're losing quite a significant number of our recently trained officers to our local neighboring cities. And we started looking at our incentives, and we started looking at our benefits package, and we found that we had a very competitive benefits package, but we needed to up our game when it came to our incentives.
Now, I know you just announced those new incentives back in October. Let's talk about those incentives. What are they?
So again, we had an already very comprehensive benefits package, so we didn't take too much, we didn't make any changes to that, but when it came to incentives and keeping our officers and bringing them and allowing them to make the smart choice to come to Durham, we started looking at something that is groundbreaking in North Carolina law enforcement. We started with a hiring bonus, a one-time $5,000 hiring bonus to convince people to come to Durham. And how that package works is if you get hired by the police department, you make it through our 6-month academy, and you make it through all phases of training, which is another 6 months, we're going to present you with a contract. And on the contract, it says if you agree to work for an additional 4 years with the police department, that we are willing to pay you $5,000 to thank you and to allow you to work in the city of Durham.
So someone could come in and go through our police academies and then leave?
Right now, yes.
And they still can? But
they still can, but this contract, you agreed to work for another 4 years with the police department, so you'll be agreeing to work for the police department and the city of Durham for 5 total years.
So are there any other incentives that you've thought about?
Yes, here's another one that you're not going to see outside of the private sector, and it's another one I'm very proud of. So the city manager and the mayor are on record saying they want police officers to live and work in Durham. They don't want police officers that live in Raleigh commuting and working in Durham, because you don't take any ownership of the problems that Durham has. So what we decided to do is for existing and new employees that if you move into the city of Durham, we're willing to pay you a relocation incentive. So if you provide proof of where you lived before and the proof that you're now living within the city limits, we're willing to give you upwards of $3,000 to relocate to the city.
No matter where you live?
No matter where you live. The $3,000 is contingent on moving more than 100 miles into the city limits, and if you're less than 100 miles into the city limits, it's just $2,000.
Okay, it's still quite considerable.
I'm very proud of them. It's something that I have not seen up and down the East Coast in law enforcement.
And I think someone mentioned to me that there's a clothing allowance as well.
Yes, so this is we have a clothing allowance for our investigators, a $600 clothing allowance per year. And on top of that, we also have a $150 shoe allowance per year for our patrol officers. And then we even upped our game even more, and we decided to do a take-home car program, which just started rolling out and will take place over the next 3 years for our officers that are living within the city limits of Durham.
Wow, that is impressive. Now, is this something recruits have said that they wanted?
This is something, when we talk to the people that are leaving the police department, going to our other municipal areas, what convinced them to leave, and it was the benefits and it was the incentives. And you know, when we decided to do this, we wanted to make sure that we were groundbreaking, that we were progressive, and that nobody else is doing this. Nobody else is offering a hiring bonus. Nobody else is offering a relocation incentive to in police work.
That is so interesting that, you know, the police department would take all of this into account, especially talking to recruits and seeing what's important to them, as well as officers, I imagine.
Absolutely.
When it comes to serving Durham.
Our police officers are an investment in the city. It takes a lot of money to train and to get them released, and the training in Durham is second to none.
Okay. So I would imagine you're probably asked this question a lot, but why would anyone want to choose Durham to serve as a police officer compared to other nearby cities?
I do get asked that a lot, and let me be first to say I grew up in Durham. I went to school in Durham. My kids go to school in Durham. I work in Durham, and my wife is a small business owner in Durham, and I'm very much committed to the city. And I think Durham kind of offers the total package. You've got a thriving downtown area. You have the DPAC. You're 2.5 hours from the beach. You're 2.5 hours from the mountains. 30 minutes from a major international airport. And then on top of that, the police department is offering so much. We do promotional processes about every 2 to 3 years as the need arises. We have 532 sworn positions, and in those sworn positions, we have a gang unit, we have a bicycle unit, we have a motorcycle unit, a TAC unit. We have so much to offer, a CID unit or investigations unit, training division, recruiting. There's so many places you can go in this department to further your experience and further your experience in law enforcement.
So how often does the department recruit for LET and BLET academies?
So we run 2 BLET academies a year. We do a February academy and an August academy. Those are both 6 months. And just starting this year, we're going to start doing an ALET academy, which is an advanced law enforcement training academy for those that are already North Carolina certified. That's going to be an 8-week academy. We can run that pretty much anytime we need to, as the need arises when we get the applications in. And we're very proud about our ALET initiative right now, because we're offering a starting salary of $37,000 going all the way to $51,540 for our advanced law enforcement applicants. So we're very proud of that too. We're hoping to start recruiting from some of our nearby agencies that have taken some of our officers already.
I would imagine those salaries are pretty competitive.
Again, I think they're groundbreaking. I don't think there's any other agency anywhere nearby that's offering quite the package we are.
Great, great. So if our viewers want more information, what should they do?
Please go to www.durhampolice.com, follow the recruitment prompts. Also, you can call our office at 919-560-4575 and follow the prompts there as well.
Okay, great. Sergeant English, thank you so much for joining me. Any closing thoughts you'd like to leave with our viewers?
I just want to say that working for the City of Durham and our police department has been fantastic. We have a brand new Chief C.J. Davis that's leading us into the next phase, and it's a very progressive, wonderful place to work. Durham's offering the total package. I'm very proud to be a police officer here.
Great. We're proud to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Stay with me, because after the break, we'll introduce you to the new LGBTQ and Hispanic liaisons for the Durham Police Department, and we'll learn more about their new roles, which are first for the Bull City. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Durham Police Chief Sarah Lynn Davis. The Durham Police Department has new incentives to recruit the best and the brightest. We seek applicants who want to protect and serve our great city as dedicated guardians. Our department will offer new and lateral officers a $5,000 bonus upon completion of training, and a relocation incentive may apply. Be an agent of change and begin making a difference in your community. Choose a career that matters. Join the Durham Police Department.
Welcome back to City Life. I'm Beverly Thompson. We've been talking about some exciting new announcements from the Durham Police Department. As part of its vision to be a progressive law enforcement agency, the department recently introduced its new LGBTQ and Hispanic liaisons. Joining me to talk about their new roles and why they're needed are Officers Charles Strickland Jr. and Obed Ortiz. Welcome, officers, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So, Officer Strickland, let's get started with you. You are the department's first new liaison, and you're working for the LGBTQ community in Durham. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why this new role is important to you.
I've been employed with the Durham Police Department for over 4.5 years. I was, before this position, a patrol officer. And before the police department, I was employed with the sheriff's department as a detention officer. I was approached about this position due to my advocacy for the community. And it means a lot because I think it shows that the department's community diversity and the unique needs of the LGBTQ community.
So what will you do as a new liaison?
In my role as a liaison for the community, I'll do outreach, attending events. I'll also come up with initiatives that will be helping the community, trainings for the community as well as the police department in LGBT issues.
Okay, all right. So tell me why the department thought this kind of role was necessary in the first place.
Well, the LGBT community has unique needs, and I think the department's committed to community policing and to showing diversity in its law enforcement and in the community that we serve. And so this is a way to outreach to the community and show that, hey, there's an officer here. If you don't feel comfortable going through normal change, you can contact that officer.
Okay. What kind of response have you gotten so far? So
far, it's been very positive. The community's been surprised that the department would do this because they're in this area. I'm the only liaison in this area of this type. But it's been largely positive from the department and as well from the community.
That's great. Now, are there other cities that have similar liaisons?
Yes, when researching implementing this position, the chief looked at the best practices that were done in Atlanta, where they have liaisons, in Tampa. We contacted Seattle, and New York as well.
Okay, and they all had good responses as well.
Definitely.
Okay,
yes,
all right. So, Officer Ortiz, you are the department's first Hispanic liaison for the Hispanic community. So tell us a little bit about yourself and why this role was needed as well.
Okay, well, I joined the Durham Police Academy in the summer of 2012, graduated in 2013, and was on patrol for about 4 years. This position is important to me because while on patrol, I've had the opportunity to listen and speak with the Hispanic Latino community. And I noticed that many of them shared the same concerns, whether it's trusting the police or what can the police do for them. So this position is important because it creates an opportunity for us to address that.
So is it more about culture than language?
Correct. It deals with both culture and language because a lot of officers do what they can, and we have limited Spanish-speaking officers. So it helps when we can communicate effectively with the people we're serving.
So tell me exactly what you will do in your new role.
Well, with this role, I'm going to proactively engage with the Hispanic Latino community. This means I'll be attending regular meetings that are held by the Hispanic Latino community. I will also be working close with the Spanish media when necessary. I'll also be working with other divisions within the department, such as victim services or recruiting, just to name a couple.
So why is this role needed here in Durham?
The overall goal of this role is to try and strengthen the relationship between the Durham Police Department and the Hispanic Latino community, and hopefully we can build trust and minimize crime.
Now, I know you mentioned earlier that you would be attending meetings, and what kind of meetings would happen that you would be a part of? I mean, would it be more than just a Partners Against Crime meeting? Is it more of a specific meeting specific for the Hispanic community?
These meetings can be between civic groups or religious groups. It'll also be with service providers. I learned that for the Hispanic Latino committee for the mayor's office, they hold meetings about once a month, so I'll be attending those as well.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds like very important roles that both of you have to help our community, and that is very much welcomed. So if someone needs to get in contact with either of you, how do they do that?
They could visit the Durham Police Department's website at www.durhampolice.com
Okay.
and follow the prompts from the Community Services Bureau link,
Okay.
and also by phone by the number that's going to be on the screen.
Okay, all right, sounds good. And that's the same number for both
Yes,
of you,
that'd be
right?
correct.
All right. Well, anything else you'd like to share with our viewers about what your community involvement, what your roles as liaison will be?
Well, I hope that I can be a good resource for the Hispanic Latino community in Durham, and our goal, this would be successful if we have more interaction with the Hispanic Latino community, if we have them reporting crime, if we have them involved with police programs such as our Neighborhood Watch, or even have a few join the department.
Great, sounds good. What about you, Officer Strickland?
And I think that while mine and Ortiz's communities might have unique needs to those specific communities, our goals are the same. It's going to be promoting diversity, showing that the department's committed to community policing, and as far as I go specifically, showing that the LGBT community is represented fairly and treated accordingly.
Great. Thank you both so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that does it for City Life. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and watch us on Durham Television Network and on YouTube. I'm Beverly Thompson. Thank you for joining me to learn more about City Life in Durham.